Welcome everyone to our latest explainer. Today, we're putting on our detective hats and launching a full retrospective analysis of one of the absolute biggest pop culture phenomena of the 1990s, Beverly Hills 90210. Whether you were an original regular at the Peach Pit or you've kind of just caught up through the legendary legacy the show left behind, we're going on a really fascinating deep dive into exactly how a television titan closed its doors.
Okay, let's dive into this, because here is the central mystery we are unraveling today. Why did a show that literally defined a decade, a show that launched endless spin-offs and completely shaped an entire generation's viewing habits, end its spectacular 10-season run with a finale that left so many longtime fans profoundly disappointed? I mean, how do you fumble the ball on the 1-yard line like that?
Well, to understand the failure, we first have to understand the hype. The two-part series finale, titled Ode to Joy, aired on May 17, 2000, and it drew in a massive 16.4 million viewers. To put that into perspective, that is an enormous cultural footprint. People tuned in expecting the ultimate, perfect send-off for characters they had literally grown up with for 296 episodes. The anticipation was absolutely electric. Section 1. The series finale fallout. Expectation versus reality. But you know, anticipation doesn't always equal satisfaction. There was a massive disconnect between expectation and reality here. Viewers desperately wanted an epic reunion of all the beloved core characters, the ones who actually started the journey, to get proper emotional closure. But what the network actually delivered? It was a rushed wedding between David and Donna, a glaring lack of the original stars, and a farewell that felt, frankly, incredibly hollow.
Let's break down that reality, because the absences were glaring. No Brandon Walsh. No Brenda Walsh, actually scratch that. No Jim or Cindy Walsh either. The literal foundational family that the entire premise of the show was built upon, moving from Minneapolis to Beverly Hills, was just completely gone. Instead, the focus was shoved onto a rushed wedding between David and Donna and a forced, highly contrived reunion between Kelly and Dylan that just didn't feel earned at all to longtime viewers.
Section 2. The Missing Walsh Twins, an Empty Foundation.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is Jason Priestley's candid admission. In a 2014 interview with CNN, he admitted he deeply regretted leaving the show at the beginning of Season 9. He realized later that the legendary producer Aaron Spelling had been carefully plotting a long-term storyline where Brandon and Kelly would be the ultimate endgame couple. So by walking away, Priestley unintentionally destroyed the planned natural conclusion for his character and for the show itself.
So how did the production handle the absence of their main star for the biggest episode in the show's history? With a VHS tape. I am not kidding you. Brandon Walsh's grand appearance in the series finale was nothing more than a pre-recorded videotape mailed in to congratulate David and Donna at their bachelor and bachelorette parties. For fans who had invested a full decade into this character, an impersonal video message felt incredibly awkward and, frankly, entirely insufficient.
Section 3. Erasing Brenda, behind-the-scenes legal drama.
If Brandon's send-off was awkward, the treatment of his twin sister was downright baffling. Right before the finale aired, the Fox network broadcast a retrospective special titled Beverly Hills 90210: The Final Goodbye. It was meant to be this fun, nostalgic trip down memory lane. But viewers immediately noticed something insane. In the older clips and photos, Shannon Doherty's face was completely blurred out or painfully edited around. They were literally pretending Brenda never existed.
Why on earth would they do this? Well, it comes down to SAG likeness rules. Basically, when an actor leaves a show, the production can rerun their old episodes just fine. But if you want to use a clip or a picture of them in a brand new context, like a brand new retrospective special, you have to get the actor's permission, and usually negotiate new compensation. It's a strict union rule designed to protect actors.
So what happened was, Shannon Doherty and the production company simply couldn't reach an agreement. Rather than figure it out or pay her fee, the production took the nuclear option and just cropped her out of the show's history. And to fans, this visual erasure felt incredibly petty. Erasing a foundational character just to save a few bucks contributed heavily to the cheap, rushed, and incomplete feeling of the entire finale experience.
Section 4. Forced romances and backlash, filling the void. So the crucial point is, with the core family gutted, the writers completely panicked. Brandon and Kelly were the planned, natural buildup. But with Brandon gone, the writers scrambled and shoved Kelly back together with Dylan McKay. Now, Dylan had returned for the final 2 seasons to boost sagging ratings, but doing so completely ruined his tragic, mysterious arc.
It forced him back into a highly toxic dynamic with Kelly, completely reconning the beautiful, tragic soulmate connection he had formed with his late wife, Toni. It was totally fan service, but done in the messiest way possible.
And, even the grand finale centerpiece, David and Donna's wedding, felt fabricated to the people actually involved. In her 2008 memoir, Tori Spelling made a really revealing admission. She got so swept up in the fairy tale wedding on set that she thought she might actually have real feelings for her co-star Brian Austin Green. But her castmate Jenny Garth had to bring her back to reality, reminding her it was just the plot. I mean, if even the actors felt they were just going through the motions of a fabricated emotion, it's absolutely no wonder fans found the wedding unearned after years of exhausting on-again, off-again drama.
Section 5. The Franchise Aftermath. A Timeline of Reboots.
A botched finale doesn't just ruin an episode, it creates a lingering wound. Let's move to and see how this builds across the timeline. You have the absolute golden era starting in 1990, leading to the massively successful Melrose Place spinoff in 1992. Then the disastrous 2000 finale we just investigated, but it didn't end there. 8 years later, the CW launched a reboot, and then in 2019, Fox tried again with a bizarre meta reboot. Each attempt was essentially this long apology tour trying to give fans the closure the finale denied them.
But those reboots often just made things worse. In an attempt to appease fans, the 2008 CW reboot brought back the original cast, only to hand them incredibly depressing storylines. Kelly is a guidance counselor raising a son alone because Dylan, the romantic hero of the finale, became a deadbeat, absentee father. Brenda moves to China, and Donna and David, the couple whose wedding served as the grand finale, Donna is living in Japan dealing with marital problems. The network literally destroyed their own happily ever after.
And then there was 2019's BH 9210. It wasn't your standard continuation. It was a strange, single-season meta-comedy where the real-life actors played heightened, fictionalized versions of themselves trying to pitch a reboot of the original show. It was a fascinating, bizarre experiment, but it ultimately proved one thing. 2 decades later, the network still had absolutely no idea how to properly conclude these fictional characters' stories, so they just made a show about the actors instead.
Which is kind of fitting because the behind-the-scenes drama of the cast often completely eclipsed the show itself. We saw real-life complexities, a massive publicized falling out between Tori, Jenny, and their co-star Tiffany Thiessen. Shannon Doherty going on record to express deep regret over letting stubbornness keep her out of the original finale. And, most heartbreakingly, the tragic passing of Luke Perry in 2019, which left a permanent, unfillable void in the cast and the hearts of the fans. The messy, complex history of these real people perfectly mirrored the messy legacy of the show.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves as we wrap up this explainer. Is a show's legacy defined by its absolute peak, those glorious years when it was the biggest thing on television, or is it forever tarnished by how poorly it says goodbye? Uncovering all this behind-the-scenes chaos really casts the finale in a completely new light. It's a masterclass in what not to do, ignoring core characters, rushing plots, and letting backstage legal battles dictate on-screen emotion. It's a fascinating cautionary tale about the fragile relationship between a show and the fans who love it. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I highly recommend pondering that question the next time you finish a long-running series.